You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. I was out of town the last couple of days celebrating the graduation of my youngest brother, Cade. Graduated from high school. He's a good kid, and I'm very, very proud of him, and I'm proud to be his brother. So I just want to give him that shout out again. A lot of stuff happened, man. Right? I watched the NBA Finals over the weekend, and I have become increasingly concerned about the Cavaliers. I picked the Warriors to win this series in 6 games out of respect for LeBron. I was like, I look at it and I go, okay, there's no way a team that's got LeBron James on it just falls over and dies, right? Like, they at least put some fight back into this thing, and then ultimately they would lose because, I mean, have you seen the Warriors, right? Like, they're just fantastic. And of course, I had to be wrong about that too, right? Like, I feel like the Cavs are going to get swept, right? And this is not like last year. The Warriors go up 2-0 in back-to-back blowouts last year in Golden State. Then they lose in Cleveland. They end up winning game 4, but never win another game in the series. But if anyone goes, oh, yeah, they choked last year, this is totally like that, you don't have eyes, or you don't know how to use them very well. I'm a guy, I believe that you should follow statistics. I believe that you should follow data. I am not necessarily about everybody being a cowboy shooting from the hip, but if your eyes are telling you this team is better than last year's team, they're probably right. Like, there are just some things in life you can see, and you don't need to overthink it and over-rationalize it. Everybody who picked Cleveland did exactly that, because you did have to do some kind of mental gymnastics to somehow wind up with Cleveland as the eventual NBA champions. But regardless, right, I watched that and I was like, I don't know how you stop them. I mean, the key here is you stop either Durant or you stop Curry, but I don't know how you stop them. So we'll talk about that later in the show. I felt very concerned. I'm very concerned for Cleveland. So what I actually want to talk about is Bob Stoops. Bob Stoops, the former head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners. He's retired, right? 18 seasons, I think, a pretty productive and illustrious career. A national championship for Bob Stoops. The fact that he pretty much dominated the Big 12 for his entire time there. Everybody, right? Beat up Oklahoma State, ruled the state of Oklahoma. Beat up Texas, winning record in the Red River Shootout. Won all the major games in that conference that you're supposed to win. Won the conference many times, even in the rebuilding years. Right? So Bob Stoops is one of the great college football coaches that we had currently coaching. And it's funny because, like, I am from Texas. So I have a lot of friends who are Oklahoma fans and Sooner supporters. I love them, but also I hate them all. And they've always been critical of Bob Stoops. And I just wonder if it's not one of those situations where they don't know what they have. Right? Sure, Bob Stoops was a guy that originally at the beginning of his career was winning big games, right? Big Game Bob was his nickname. And then he wasn't winning big games anymore. He lost on some tremendous stages. Games that would have gotten Oklahoma to national title games. There were choke jobs, right? And Oklahoma fans were upset about that. But I said, 18 years of always being considered a very high quality college football program, and you got one title out of it. Not everybody can be Saban. Aren't you happy with what you've gotten? It's not like the guy is just underachieved year in and year out. There is something to be said about that kind of longevity. And so when I think about, a team like Georgia that had Mark Richt, and Mark Richt did not have a national title, right? But in terms of the resume of this guy's just great at coaching. Why run that guy to town? Like, why move on from him? And I get that there's an obvious risk and reward thing here with it. When you talk about corporations, right? Corporations have CEOs, and those CEOs run the organization. They are the control tower of the whole thing. In college football, the CEO of your company or your football team is your head coach, right? he makes a lot of these decisions regarding players and personnel and who's playing and when, and here's our strategies for this. And he doesn't necessarily micromanage every facet of the game. You kind of delegate to your assistant coaches what your philosophy and what your strategy is going to be throughout the course of the season, what your goals are. I mean, you're very much the CEO of the team. And an interesting thing has been happening. An interesting trend has been growing in corporate America. We've been keeping our CEOs on longer and longer. A CEO's tenure has been growing. I think it's up to 6.7 years now for the tenure of a CEO. And you do have to worry about two things, right? You have to worry about hiring a bad CEO, like identifying when you've hired somebody that can't do the job and just go, you know what, we got to move on. And also you have to worry about when a CEO starts to stagnate, right? Like when he or she gets to the point where there isn't any more growth, right? All the innovation that they can provide, they have provided. And then you've got someone that's more or less outstaying their welcome. They're not helping you grow. And, you know, if you're not growing, you're dying. If that's the case for corporate America, that's also the case for college football. And you see it all the time. You have a coach who starts off really good, maybe his first 4 or 5 years. Everybody loves him. He's winning football games. And then there are expectations that are being built, and he's not meeting those. And you start to see some regression in your team. And then you have to make a choice. Do I wait for this guy to turn it around? Because you do like him. And if someone was capable of being a winner at first, then they always sort of have that capability of being a winner. So do you just ride it out? Do you wait it out? Or do you try and say, you know what? We need a culture change. We need to figure out how to replace you so that we can continue to grow and expand. But there's obvious risks with that too. If you try to cut the guy off and see if you can grow and expand, well, then now who do you replace him with, right? Like that was always a thing with Bob Stoops. Who do you replace Bob with? You really going to find a guy off the street better than that? Because I doubt it. I strongly doubt it. Who on earth are you going to replace Bob Stoops with? And I mean, my credit to Georgia. Georgia replaced Mark Richt with Kirby Smart, who I think is going to be very good. I just don't know that he's going to be very good, right? Like it's not 100% in my mind. He's off to a great start, great recruiting class. The defense is in place. People like the defense, from what I understand. I haven't seen it, obviously, with the turnover here and adding extra players and the new recruiting class in. So we'll see. But I hear that people enjoy the defense and that it's going to look quite good this season. Maybe it does. But there is something to be said about appreciating what you have while you have it. Right? Like, because Bob Stoops won the big games that mattered. Bob Stoops coached and outlasted Mac Brown and Charlie Strong. And had he coached this year, he would have gotten his opportunity to beat up on Tom Herman too, at least for 1 year while Tom Herman's trying to fix things over at Texas. He would have beaten up on Herman as well. I mean, Bob Stoops saw the fall of Texas, the rise of Baylor, the addition of TCU, and never stopped performing in all of that time. That entire time. 18 years of Bob Stoops being really good. 2000 AP Coach of the Year. 2000 perfect season national title, Oklahoma. Right? And I feel like he won the national title early in the career, right? I think that kind of goes against him too. When you're not winning a lot and you've won one national title in your entire coaching tenure, and your entire coaching tenure is 18 years, then people start to forget the national title, right? Like it starts to seem so far away. You have a generation of fans that have been born now that are old enough to really enjoy college football on their own that have never seen the national title, right? Like any kid born in 2001 is 16 years old now, right? Maybe you got a 16-year-old Oklahoma fan. Well, I mean, that kid's never seen the national title that you all say that you want. To him, that might as well be a story, you know? And I get it. Like, I understand how it's easy to not appreciate these things when you have them. Because I'm always of the mind where I'm not I don't have the itchy trigger finger when it comes to just popping coaches. I feel like if you fire a coach, there better be a real good plan, right, as to who you are going to replace them with, right? I thought Charlie Strong was a good coach at Texas, for instance, and they fired him because the plan was, let's replace him with Tom Herman. We like what Tom Herman's doing down there at Houston. What if we gave Tom Herman more money? How much better a recruiter could that guy be with more money? And the answer is a lot better, right? Like, it's just a lot better. But there was a plan there. Georgia fires Mark Richt, and whether you love it or hate it, the plan was, let's go after Kirby Smart. Let's try and build something that looks like what Alabama's built. Let's go get some defense. Let's do that. And the plan's in place. Like, you don't just fire a coach willy-nilly. Either the coach is incredibly unsuccessful, underachieving a lot, or you have a plan as to who you're going to replace him with. And I was like, who are you going to find better than Bob Stoops? Right? Because you can bring the dark ages on yourself. You can fire a good coach who's not necessarily performing up to your standards and bring the dark ages on yourself and not be able to replace that coach with anybody useful for a really, really long time. Right? Like, that's very possible. And it's not like Bob Stoops fell off and he was winning 4 games a year and 5 games a year. Oklahoma, every year that I can remember, was pretty much solidly in the mix. Like, you had to at least think about them for national title contenders. And then if you didn't have that, you at least had to think about them in terms of being this sort of, oh, they're always a threat to win the Big 12. Oh, they're always a threat to be in some high-level bowl game that matters. Even in the years that they rebuild, they're good, right? Like, that means something. Even in the years where they're not good, they're good. Because all this stuff comes in cycles. But I don't know, Bob Stoops. Here's a statement from the Sooners Athletics website. After 18 years at the University of Oklahoma, I've decided to step down as the head football coach. I understand there has been some speculation about my health. My health was not the deciding factor in this decision. I had no incidents that would prevent me from coaching. I feel the timing is perfect to hand over the reins. The program is in tremendous shape. We have outstanding players and coaches and are poised to make another run at a Big 12 national championship. We have new state-of-the-art facilities and a great start on next year's recruiting class. The time is now because Lincoln Riley will provide a seamless transition as the new head coach, capitalizing on an excellent staff that is already in place and providing familiarity and confidence in our players. Now is simply the ideal time for me and our program to make this transition. And it goes on from there. But to me, I don't know. Well, first off, I don't know this is the perfect time. June 7th is not necessarily like the perfect time, but I suppose it's not a bad time, right? Because you've already recruited the players that you were going to try and recruit from this class, and gotten past National Signing Day and all that good stuff. So I suppose on that level, the timing could be worse. But I don't know. Middle of the summer doesn't strike me as the perfect time. Now, here's the thing with Lincoln Riley, replacing Bob Stoops, the offensive coordinator replacing Bob Stoops as head coach, is that Lincoln Riley is starting on first base, right? Like, you hear about people who are born rich and born with benefits and stuff in life, and you hear that old phrase of, man, you were born on second base and act like you hit a double. Lincoln Riley born on second base right now, right? Like, Lincoln Riley is the born on second base dude right now, because everything that Bob Stoops said in that letter is absolutely true. You have a coaching staff already built around stuff you know. You have a recruiting class that's still coming. You've got a great team already. Yeah, you're Lincoln Riley. The fans are not going to tolerate any underachieving from Lincoln Riley, right? Like, they were going to take it from Bob Stoops because Bob Stoops has the legacy of, well, all of your major Big 12 opponents, he beats them every year. He's gotten this team always in consideration to be a title contender, right? Like, they don't always get it, and that's the frustrating part for those fans, but always in the talks, right? Like, they're always having to think about them on some level. So you have that. And Lincoln Riley shows up and pretty much walks into a great team. He doesn't have to try and find his own staff. He doesn't have to build anything. It's built, and he was there while it was being built. But you don't have a national title next to your name. You don't have a national title next to your name. So you're on the clock, right? Like if you underachieve even somewhat, people are going to be critical of you, rightly or wrongly. And I think it would be unfair if they were. I would think it'd be very unfair if they were, in fact, because I feel like when you're in a situation like that, it's going to take some time to get your legs under you, right? Like, I don't know if Lincoln Riley's been a head coach previously, but there's a difference between being the heir apparent and being the king, right? Like it's a very big gap. It feels you're second in command, but you're also not at all in command, right? So it's sort of an interesting place to be in if you're Lincoln Riley. And also to understand, like, the pressure is on you from day one. It's not like you came in to rebuild a sorry football team. No, you are coming in to maintain, to at the very least maintain. And yeah, you're going to have your own moments, right? You can't keep living off the legacy of Bob Stoops, which is, I think, about to last like a year. They'll give you a year of sort of clemency. And if you regress, they're going to hate you. And if you maintain, you can only maintain, but for so long until people are like, hey, yeah, we let Bob slide because Bob got us a title. What about you? Despite the fact that winning a college football national title is incredibly difficult. It's hard. And I think that if we've been cursed by Nick Saban in any particular kind of way, it's that Nick Saban has made this look easier than it should look, right? Nick Saban's made this look easier. Urban Meyer, to an extent, has made this look easier than it ought to look. It shouldn't be as easy as it is for Alabama and Nick Saban. And yet it very much is. And it does affect the rest of college football, because I think you have very perfectly good coaches who always feel like they're under pressure because people look at Alabama and go, man, why can't you be like them? And it's obvious why you can't be like them, but you don't like that your own team doesn't succeed. Like, winning national titles is hard. It's a difficult thing to do. It's an incredibly difficult thing to do. Like, just go out there and win us a title. In order for Bob Stoops to win a national title back in 2000, his team had to lose 0 games. Right? Like, that's what it takes. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I'm going to talk about the NBA Finals a little bit in the show. Game 3 of the Finals is tonight at 9 o'clock. You know what, though? You know what else is happening around the world of sports? The Ole Miss stuff and Hugh Freeze, which has gotten super weird. It's gotten very weird. And the reason why I know that it's weird is because people are doubling down on their nonsense, right? Which is insane. When you are filled with nonsense, let's say nonsense. Nonsense is a nice FCC-friendly word. When you are filled with nonsense, the worst thing that you can do is then double down on that nonsense. And Ole Miss is definitely being punished for NCAA violations. They are maintaining that Hugh Freeze is a good person and in no way complicit in any of this stuff, which is also nonsense. And we're just supposed to believe it. And I'm looking at Ole Miss and this statement that they've released, which I will read to you in a little bit. And my only thought is this. Who do you think you are fooling? Who do you think you are fooling with that? They're crazy. That school is out of line. That school is out of line. And if you're Hugh Freeze, you're still the happiest man in the SEC. And I'll explain why. My other favorite piece of college football news of the day is Baylor head coach Matt Rule texts his players every day to remind them that they need to treat women with respect, which is not something that you should ever have to do. But given the climate at Baylor, look, Major props to Matt Rule. Major props to Matt Rule, because apparently, if your entire football team cannot figure this out, yeah, man. Text them every day. Text them every day as long as it takes for them to get it. You got to treat women right. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Cops say Shane Keller and Brittany Renee Ware have both been arrested after the police say they had methamphetamine inside their car, along with needles, pipes, and a handgun. And Miss Ware's autistic son was said to be in the back seat of the car. Cops say they stopped their car because it had a stolen license plate on the back of it. 11 overdoses have been reported in Georgia, and 2 deaths so far. Pills labeled as Percocet may not actually be Percocet sold on the street. It may be something much more powerful. The police are still trying to find out what. The Chattanooga City Council is trying to figure out if some buildings should be no-go zones for guns. A Tennessee state House bill has requirements for gun-free zones, which would not be met by the current circumstances for city council meetings. And the first hearing for an ordinance which would suss out where you can use Airbnb begins today. Maps will be created which would zone out where short-term vacation rental services would be allowed and where they won't be. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Comfortable overnight, lows into the upper 50s. For Thursday, more clouds will push back in from the east. Could see a spotty shower or two. Not bad, though. Highs into the upper 70s. With more sunshine, pleasant weather returning Friday. Highs lower 80s. It's time for Riverbend, starting this Friday, featuring discounted admission now at Area Circle K locations, savings on tokens at Food City, with more info at their website, riverbendfestival.com. And I'm Swarm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation, and we'll give you a copy. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339.
The American dream. Home ownership. Are you building equity for your landlord? Why not build that equity for yourself and your family? Rent No More is a no obligation, no cost program. It's designed to teach you the steps necessary and to coach you all along the path to home ownership. Integrity Mortgage Group is owned and operated by local expert Jeff Woody Woodburn. Jeff has been in the mortgage business for over 15 years. Born and raised right here in the Chattanooga area, Jeff is also known as the Lone Ranger. He's helped countless hundreds. Really eager to help you too. So don't wait. Come on, call Danielle right now. You need to reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Hey, Nooga Radio is proud to partner with Integrity Mortgage Group to bring you Rent No More. Reserve your spot for this exciting, informative event. Space is limited, so call now to reserve yours. It's free. 423-517-8004. 423-517-8004. Call 423-517-8004. Stop building equity for your landlord. Live the American dream. Home ownership with Rent No More. We'll see you there.
I have the best steak selection in town. Name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road, Rick Davis, Golden Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Golden Diamonds, Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the NBA Finals. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Make sure to check us out on our website, noogaradio.com. You can get to all of our social media links, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever you need to stay in tune with Chattanooga and our local weather, traffic, news, and sports, right? So here's the thing about the NBA Finals that I have noticed. LeBron James is very tired. He's incredibly tired. He looks tired, right? I watched game 2 over the weekend, and here's what I saw in the first half. LeBron James is an unstoppable train. That's what I saw in the first half. He went to the basket whenever he felt like it, and you could see it. That moment when he gets to the three-point line, and then he starts to charge up like a superhero, and then when he gets to the basket, the ball is going in, and it doesn't matter if you foul him, don't foul him, touch him, push him, shove him. JaVale McGee wrapped him up like how they teach you proper tackling form in the NFL. And it didn't matter. LeBron blew through JaVale McGee, who is 7 feet tall, and got the ball into the basket anyway. The problem with that is that it's incredibly exhausting for him to do that every game, right? Which I think is a great strategy, by the way. If LeBron's going to the basket, whether you can stop him or not is not the point. Just foul him. Just foul him. Really make it hard for him to score. And now LeBron's in this sort of situation where he doesn't want to come out and do press conferences. He's short with the media. And I get it, though. I get it. You know why I get it? Because being the only great player on a basketball team is not fun. It's more work. All the heavy lifting is up to you. And if you look at Cleveland and the way that they're built, what is the thing that you notice the most about Cleveland? They have one two-way player. One, and his name is LeBron James. Nobody else in that team is a two-way player. Kyrie, great at offense, bad at defense. Kevin Love, great at offense, bad at defense. Tristan Thompson, a great rebounder, scorer, he is not. Right? J.R. Smith is, as he's become a more defensive guy, he's all but vanished on the offensive end. And Iman Shumpert, we say he's a great defender, but, good defender, bad at offense, really bad at offense. The Warriors are just going to let that guy shoot anytime he's open. Like, yeah, if Iman Shumpert kills us, we'll allow it to happen, but, we just don't think that's going to happen. We're not under this impression that Iman Shumpert's going to be the one out here slaying dragons. So with that said, what do you do if you're Cleveland? I look at this and I go, yeah, I can't really blame Kevin Durant for what he did. To go through that every single year. And it's Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook on a team trying to fight, and the games, the style of the game, it's very different. Now, I think it's weird. I think it's very weird that the Cavs have become this team that they want to run, right? They want to run, keep the ball moving. But that's what Golden State wants to do. And I understand that, logistically, slowing the game down is a tougher thing to do because there aren't but so many kinds of shots that Cleveland is actually designed to get. But I don't know. My best guess is take LeBron James, throw him down in the post, and we're just going to post up and waste time and figure out how to get LeBron James to score from down there. Because if you play fast with Golden State, they'll blow you out every game. Like if Cleveland, and I heard Ty Lue in the interview, like Ty Lue seems determined that this is the best course of action. And if this is the best course of action, Golden State's going to sweep them. Golden State's going to sweep them. I have no qualm saying that. There is no answer for that if you do not slow the game down. You have to slow it down, right? It's not the way that Cleveland is designed to play. It's not the way that they play. But if they play fast, they can't win, okay? You can't get into a track meet with a team faster than you. That doesn't make any sense. What are you doing? You cannot get into a track meet with a team that runs faster than you, right? Like if I wanted to find a game that I could beat Usain Bolt in, I would play chess because it's a game that I can play from my butt. And I think I have a very good chance of beating Usain Bolt in a game of chess. Maybe I lose, but you know what game I don't play? If my goal is to beat Usain Bolt in a game, the 100-meter dash. That game is not a game that you play. You don't play track meet with a team faster than you. Right? Like I don't, if I wanted to find a way to beat Michael Phelps, right, I might try my hand at Connect 4. I will not get in that pool and attempt to race Michael Phelps. So why are the Cavs getting in this pool? Someone explain this to me. Why does Cleveland think it's a great idea to get into this pool? Because from what it looks like, right, Cleveland is about average in the league in terms of pace. They're 15th in the league. The Warriors are first, okay? You're not winning this track meet. Slow it down. You have to. You have no choice. Slow it down. And I get it. It's not like if you slow it down, you're about to get better shots. In fact, your shots might be worse. But you know what? If you're firing up long threes and you're Cleveland, long threes lead to long rebounds. Long rebounds are rebounds that Tristan Thompson can't get to very easily, that the Warriors get to more easily than you, and now we run. Right? The only way to do that if you're going to play fast is to make all those shots. And I'm not sure Shumpert can make all those shots. I'm not sure Jefferson can make all those shots. I'm not sure JR can make all those shots. Kyrie and LeBron are the only two people I'm sure can make all those shots, and maybe Kevin Love most times. Okay, so you got three guys that can make all those shots. All the Warriors can make all those shots. Right? And you got the number 2 and 3 best players in the league on the other team. So, I mean, this to me, it's a bad spot for Cleveland. It's a bad spot. It's a really, really bad spot. This series is a 4-game series. And we could get to the whole discussion about how that's not actually truly bad for the NBA. Because anytime there's one team that makes us argue that's presumably actually very good for the NBA, as we now sit down and watch the team and root for them to lose, that's going to be people watching Golden State next year. People are going to watch Golden State and root for them to lose. And you know what? It ain't going to happen. That's what's going to happen next year. I feel vindicated, though. I've been a Warriors apologist all year. All year. And I caught flack from the LeBron people. But you know what? Cavs about to get swept. Like, I'll see tonight. Like, tonight, we'll see what adjustment they make if they can make one. But look at the combination of players on that team and tell me what other adjustments you can make. Like, there's no adjustment you can make that doesn't turn Kyrie into something other than a turnstile on defense. I mean, there's no adjustment you can make that turns Kevin Love into a sieve defensively or not a sieve defensively. Like, they're both bad defensive players, and that definitely holds you back against this great offensive team. And then you decide to go out there and run this track meet against the track team. I don't know how. Why did you think that was going to happen? Doesn't work that way. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. So people think that the NCAA does not oftentimes act like the powerful organization that it is, right? Like you are the organization sort of presiding over all of these schools in college football. And still, schools act very brazen and act like the NCAA won't come after them and shut them down, right? And no school is a better example of this than Ole Miss. Ole Miss is the defiant rule breaker, right? Like the rule breaker that will just look you in your eyes while they break your rules. I had a kid like that when I was in elementary school, right? It was some dude named Aaron. And Aaron loved to mess with all of our teachers. And we actually made one of our substitute teachers cry, in large part because Aaron was breaking every rule that we ever had in our classroom and was just looking the substitute teacher right in her eyes as he broke all the rules, just all of them. And I'm looking at Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is looking the NCAA in the eyes while they're breaking rules and asking the NCAA, like, what are you about to do? And I don't think that they like where this road ends. Like when you finally push them to just mollywop you, when you finally push them there, that's not about to be any fun whatsoever. You think it's about to be fun. It ain't fun, right? But here's Ole Miss. NCAA said, hey, we've caught you cheating. They've delivered to Ole Miss the notice of allegations. Here's the list of things that we think you have done incorrectly. And Ole Miss has done two things that I find alarming for a school in their position, as they have zero leverage in this negotiation, right? So like they put sanctions on themselves, right? So that the NCAA doesn't come after them, which is a smart thing to do, right? You punish yourself, you slap yourself on the wrist a little bit, and you go, oh, look, I'm hitting myself. And then like the NCAA is like, okay, fine. We'll only, I don't know, we'll go half as hard as we would have usually, right? So Ole Miss did that. And then the two alarming things that they have now done, one is that the most serious allegations that they're being accused of by the NCAA, they are disputing, right? They wrote what's the letter called? A response to the notice of allegations, and went down the longest list. Okay, this thing is 125 pages. I tried to read some of it. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't come away with much. I'm a big reader. I love to read, but this stuff is worded by lawyers. And what I learned when stuff is worded by lawyers means you can't understand any of it. So maybe I could have somebody to break this down for me. But regardless, they have argued all of these allegations, and then they went on to back Hugh Freeze, to basically say none of this was Hugh Freeze's fault. It was the assistant coach and the assistant coach only. He was there. He had a secret phone. He was hiding it from the school. And I'm going to call nonsense on that allegation. That doesn't make any sense. Yep. The assistant coach was running this all behind Hugh Freeze's back, and Hugh Freeze had no idea whatsoever.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
Come on, man. Who do you think you're fooling with that? He didn't know? He didn't know? He didn't know? Really? That doesn't make any sense. First off, coaches know everything. Much less your assistant coach. It's not like, there was a booster running money through somebody low level, right? Like he wasn't running the money through like the ball boy or something. Through your assistant coach. And Hugh Freeze didn't know anything? Yeah, that just can't be true. It just can't be true. Like maybe I'm wrong about that, but I strongly doubt it. I absolutely strongly doubt it. And they disputed a lot of these allegations that Hugh Freeze knew about the money that was being paid out to players like Laramie Tunsil. The names that popped up in certain text messages. Barney Farrar was the assistant head coach that has been fired since then. And sure, there is no smoking gun, right? There is no weapon. There is no strong piece of evidence that ties Hugh Freeze to any of this. He's just sort of very vaguely involved. So the second strange thing that Ole Miss has done was to assert that Hugh Freeze has been very on top of compliance regulation. It's very important to him that the school is compliant. Hugh Freeze has been on top of this, right? That's what they're asserting. That Hugh Freeze, Hugh Freeze has been on top of this. Oh, word? Really? Hugh Freeze has been on top of this. This is something that's very, very important to him. And, oh, man, they gave him a contract extension. Now, here's the thing with giving Hugh Freeze this contract extension. We're not even sure how good of a coach Hugh Freeze is. Oh, yeah, no, I hear you. He's beaten Alabama twice. He's had 1.5 good seasons. You can correct me on that, but I feel like Hugh Freeze has had 1.5 good seasons. How good of a coach is Hugh Freeze? Is Hugh Freeze worth the trouble of hanging your neck out this far for Hugh Freeze? Because I don't think he is. You are tying yourself into a pretzel, trying to explain where Hugh Freeze was and was not, and what he knew and what he didn't know. And you need to understand that the NCAA is not like any other investigating body. They don't need evidence. They provide evidence. They would like to do their investigation and have evidence because it makes people trust the institution. It gives people belief that the institution's not just going after schools, but they don't need it. They just need to believe that you were close to it. Okay. And Ole Miss has been caught up in NCAA violations since 2012, and not just the football program, the women's basketball program, and the tennis and track and field programs as well. Now, who goes out there to cheat at recruiting in tennis? I don't even know. Like, I didn't even know that many people were paying attention to college tennis to really be into the cheating like that. But fine. Whatever. My point is, if you're going to be a school that's been caught up in all of these violations since 2012, don't expect anybody to believe you when you were like, no, not us. Nobody's going to believe you on that. They can't trust you. All right. The Hugh Freeze thing is insane. That's absolutely insane. Like, I did not know that they could be this dedicated to him. My thing is, and I always ask this question, and it's pure wild speculation, by the way, and also part of my awful sense of humor. Who did Hugh Freeze blackmail to receive this level of dedication? Because most schools would drop you like a hot potato. Like, you get caught up in this much stuff that looks like you definitely knew where the money was coming from and where it was going to. Because I never believe a college football coach when violations happen and they're like, nah, I didn't know. College football coaches know everything. Like I said before when I was talking about Bob Stoops, college football coach is the CEO of the football team. All decisions run through and past him. And yeah, I'm sure there have been cases where a rogue assistant just did stuff and the coach did not know. Right? Like the whole Wake Forest thing that happened last year, WikiLeaks, where they had a coach that was just selling information to other teams, and his coach did not know that this was happening. Stuff like that can happen. But then I don't believe any of the coaches, the head coaches that were like, what? Our team was gaining information from this coach that was leaking information? No, I didn't know anything about that. Like, when stuff benefits your football team, I just have trouble believing that the coach doesn't know. Can't trust it. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Don't know whether or not to be proud of Matt Rule or scared for Baylor. Matt Rule has to text his players all the time, that it is not okay to disrespect women, right? And I've heard a number of articles about what Baylor should do. Baylor should get rid of its football program. And it's like, okay, don't get rid of it. There are a number of kids in that football program that were not doing the wrong thing. There are a number of people involved in this entire thing that were not doing the wrong thing. You need to reform it. You need to fix it, which they've replaced everybody essentially involved. And Matt Rule is trying to be on top of this. I don't think Matt Rule is a guy that just sees awful things happening and just overlooks it. Most certainly. And Matt Rule is in a tough spot, right? He's in a tough spot, but not really a tough spot. The tough spot being if he can just ride this part out. He just has to ride this part out. Then he'll be fine, right? Like if he starts winning football games after all of this, he'll be fine. And then the part of it that's not so tough is I don't think anyone's going to expect you to come out the gate and be a winning football team right away. I don't think anybody's going to expect that of him, given everything that's happening, everything he's got to fix, everything he's got to reform from just a moral standpoint at that school. From just a moral standpoint. Right? And then, of course, his entire system's got to be in place, and he's not Art Briles. This is not about to be basketball on turf. So we'll see how that all goes. But it's tough when you have to remind your players, hey, how about we don't rape someone today? That's not a good place to be. I'm pretty sure it's not. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. Next.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
Competent, kind, caring, knowledgeable, experienced, great listener, great negotiator, in touch, accessible. If these are the characteristics you want and need in a realtor, you want and need Thomas DeMoss of Keller Williams Realty. Thomas is a very gifted realtor who puts the client's needs first. Whether you're buying or selling a home, Thomas is the realtor of choice. Thomas will help and guide you through each step of this very important process. For many of us, the purchase of a home is one of our largest investments and most important family and financial decision. Let Thomas use his 10 years of experience in the Chattanooga real estate market to give you the advantage you need when buying or selling a home. Buying a house? Thomas can help you navigate the emotional and somewhat anxious process of buying a home. For those of you who want to sell a house, Thomas uses his marketing and negotiating experience to help you sell your home for top dollar. Thomas is a local resident, raising his family here in Hamilton County. He knows the area very well. For many agents, real estate is a job. With Thomas DeMoss, it's a passion and what he loves to do. Call Thomas today for a no-obligation consultation. He makes the process as simple as possible. Call 423-364-0028 and visit his website, northriverpropertygroup.com.
Picture that curl of steam rising from your fresh-made pizza. And in a flash, let it take you aloft, teasing all your senses. I'm talking about Jets Pizza. If you eat out at Jets in Hickson or take home your steaming deep dish square pizza, you'll love Jets. They use only the best ingredients in a family recipe. Also try the cheesy bread, wings, chicken, or bread with bacon, antipasta or Greek salad. Jets Pizza at Buy Low near the S-Curves. Open till 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. You can order online or have it delivered. jetspizza.com. That's jetspizza.com. Or call them now. They'll have it ready when you get there. 757-1616. That's 757-1616.
Jets Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Jets. Final expenses, funeral cost, cemetery lots, unpaid medical bills, probate cost, debts. Debts are due and payable upon death of debtor. Will these costs produce a burden and hardship on your loved ones? Who will be responsible? How will they handle them? These costs can total many thousands of dollars, only compounded greater with the grief of losing a family member. A safe and secure way to provide for these costs is with an affordable life insurance from Covenant Group Insurance and Financial Services. Covenant Group is a local company with local agents. Covenant Group still makes house calls. Covenant Group only represents A-rated companies. With many options to offer, Covenant Group can accommodate almost any budget. Great discounts for good health and plans available for impaired risk. Call today for a free, no-obligation consultation in the convenience of your home. Call Steve or Jada at 423-855-8484. Call today, 423-855-8484. looking for a gospel-oriented, covenantal, family-friendly Reformed church? Dayton Reformed Presbyterian Church is a body of Christ-centered believers gathering for worship on the Lord's Day from around southeastern Tennessee. Our congregation is reformational in its outlook. It has a traditional worship service regulated by the Word of God. Prayer, singing the Psalms, reading God's holy Word, teaching, preaching the Bible, the administration of the sacrament. Dayton Reformed Pres, committed to the authority of the Bible as the inerrant, infallible Word of God. As Westminster Confession of Faith directs every Christian, we aim to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. As a Reformed church, our purpose is teaching and preaching the gospel, making and training disciples of Jesus Christ, taking dominion for our Lord's sake by applying God's holy and perfect law to every area of life. We would be honored to have you join us for worship. Dayton Reformed Presbyterian. This Sunday morning at 11 at Dayton Community Chapel, 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton. Click DaytonRPC.org. Click DaytonRPC.org. 184 Mulberry Avenue, Dayton.
It is Eric Jones hard into the outside wall, and they are still 3 and 4 wide. It looks like we're racing at Talladega.
Caution flag is out. It looked like Denny Hamlin was trying to get by Ricky Stenhouse. Got into the back of Ricky at the line. Man, that's a close one. Matt Kenseth wins stage 1.
Green checkered flag is out, and Brad Keselowski has won stage 2.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. into the wall. That will bring out the caution. Caution waving once again. And again, it's Dale Earnhardt Jr. involved.
Oh, trouble. Ty Dillon has gotten turned to the inside of the racetrack, and Clint Boyer has just nailed him.
Matt Kenseth falling back, the field storming by. Something wrong. Now we see sparks from Kenseth's Toyota.
Larson chucks him off. Coming off turn number 2. Nose to tail. Now it's Logano to the high side in 3.
Joey Logano, a winner here at the Richmond International Raceway. Here at
Live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM.
The voice of NASCAR.
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga,
WSDG Saudi Daisy Chattanooga.
A preview of testimony tomorrow. Today, the ex-FBI chief has his opening remarks made public.
Mr. Trump urged him to lift the cloud of the Russia probe.
Christopher Wray picked to be the next FBI director.
Seems like to me he's the perfect kind of person.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Dave Barrett. Fired last month, former FBI Director James Comey is set to go before the Senate Intelligence Committee tomorrow morning. He asked that committee to release his opening statement, and that happened this afternoon. James Comey wrote it. White House correspondent Stephen Portnoy has gone over what's in it.
An advanced 7-page copy of the former director's testimony is chock full of details of his private conversations with the president. Comey will say at a dinner in January, the president told him, quote, "I need loyalty. I expect loyalty." In February, Comey says the president, in an Oval Office chat, asked him to let the Michael Flynn matter go. In a new revelation, Comey will say the president called him in late March and urged him to lift the cloud of the Russia probe, saying it was getting in the way of him doing his job.
Comey says he told the president that he, Donald Trump, was not being investigated. CBS political director Steve Chigueras says that was a key part of the Comey opening remarks.
I counted 3 times in here where Comey referenced he had told Trump that he was not personally under investigation, which is something that Trump had said, and people were asking the question, is that true? Comey seems to sort of back up that fact.
I'm Steve Dorsey in Washington. Republican Senator John Cornyn wants Comey's memos on his conversations he details in his prepared remarks made public.
I think we're entitled to more than just his oral testimony. I think we're entitled to see the memos and how those compare.
Another Republican Senator, John McCain, says he's concerned about Comey saying the president asked for his loyalty.
Is it concerning to you?
Of course.
Why?
Because that's not the job of the President of the United States.
But Massachusetts Democrat Ed Markey says the president's actions are at worst illegal.
At the White House this morning, a presidential tweet announced that Christopher Wray is the pick to be the next FBI director. CBS's Paula Reed, what's his background?
He's someone who's currently a private white-collar defense attorney. He also spent 7 years in the Justice Department. He was head of the criminal division, so he had a lot of different types of cases.
Virginia Senator Mark Warner, the ranking Democrat on the Intelligence Committee.
Harry's got a good reputation, but clearly this is an effort by the president to try to distract attention from our hearings.
Overseas, 12 people dead, nearly 4 dozen others hurt following 2 attacks in Iran's capital. Suicide bombers targeted Ayatollah Khomeini's mausoleum in Tehran, says CBS's Mark Phillips. There was
an assault on the Iranian parliament where at least one of the attackers got as far as the 4th floor before blowing themselves up.
And ISIS is claiming responsibility. Wall Street, the Dow was up 37. Now this.
Kyle is a professional dog trainer.
Sit down, roll over, good.
When it comes to canine obedience, he's your best friend's best friend.
Whoa, such a good girl.
And in his personal time, Kyle's a personal trainer.
Nice work on those planks, guys. Now roll over and give me 25 push-ups. 1, 2, good. Hey, keep that caboose down.
You see, no matter who or what he trains, Kyle knows how to get results, but when it comes to mortgages, he's less confident.
Guilty as charged.
Fortunately for Kyle, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so he can understand the details and know he's getting the right mortgage.
I like it, people. Who wants a treat?
Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. Go to rocketmortgage.com today.
Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
At the sexual assault trial of Bill Cosby, CBS's Mac Piper says accuser Andrea Constad has wrapped up her time on the stand. Her mother also testified today.
Had recorded this. That's what accuser Andrea Constand's mother said on the stand when talking about a 2005 phone call she allegedly had with Bill Cosby. Gianna Constand says Cosby apologized for sexually assaulting her daughter. Phone records show the call lasted 2.5 hours. In it, she says Cosby admitted that he was a sick man.
Jeremy Christian was arraigned today in Portland, Oregon. KXL's Rosemary Reynolds says he is accused of stabbing 2 people to death and wounding another. That was during an anti-Muslim tirade aboard a commuter rail train.
His only words, and he yelled them, "Not guilty of anything but defending myself of silent aggression," from Micah Fletcher. Fletcher is the hero who survived the vicious knife attack.
You're listening to CBS World
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Cops say Shane Keller and Brittany Renee Ware have both been arrested after the police say they had methamphetamine inside their car, along with needles, pipes, and a handgun. And Miss Ware's autistic son was said to be in the back seat of the car. Cops say they stopped their car because it had a stolen license plate on the back of it. 11 overdoses have been reported in Georgia, and 2 deaths so far. Pills labeled as Percocet may not actually be Percocet sold on the street. It may be something much more powerful. The police are still trying to find out what. The Chattanooga City Council is trying to figure out if some buildings should be no-go zones for guns. A Tennessee state House bill has requirements for gun-free zones, which would not be met by the current circumstances for city council meetings. And the first hearing for an ordinance which would suss out where you can use Airbnb begins today. Maps will be created which would zone out where short-term vacation rental services would be allowed and where they won't be. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Comfortable overnight, lows into the upper 50s. For Thursday, more clouds will push back in from the east. Could see a spotty shower or 2. Not bad, though. Highs into the upper 70s. With more sunshine, pleasant weather returning Friday. Highs lower 80s. It's time for Riverbend, starting this Friday, featuring discounted admission now at Area Circle K locations, savings on tokens at Food City, with more info at their website, riverbendfestival.com. And I'm Sworn Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree? Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to AM 1240 and 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. Another thing that happened over the weekend, the Preds stay alive. Yeah, I didn't think there was much of a chance of them winning that series if they were to go down 3-1, but they tie it up 2 apiece, winning in Nashville, and they are very much in control of this thing. Now, what I find to be particularly interesting is when I talk about the Predators, people are talking about bandwagon talk, right? Which I think is a very fair thing to talk about when you're talking about hockey in the South. It's not exactly our favorite sport. It is a sport that you usually enjoy and love where there's ice, right? Because you can grow up playing hockey. You can remember times when you grew up playing with your friends in the backyard, football or basketball or baseball or whatever. Most people in the South don't remember growing up playing hockey because most people in the South did not grow up playing hockey. And therefore, when it's on TV, it's a little bit more difficult, I think, to appreciate it. So there are people that have hopped on the Predators bandwagon because they're good. But hey, man, they're in Tennessee. I don't know what to say. Like, if you're going to hop on a bandwagon, why would this not be the one? This would be the absolute one. And I'm not that guy that gets on people for being a bandwagon fan. I don't necessarily have a problem. Root for who you want to root for. I don't care. I'm saying when you choose who you want to root for, though, stay there. Stay there, right? That's my whole thing. I will probably die a miserable Redskins fan. That's just how that goes down. But it's funny that people bring up the whole bandwagon fan thing with Predators fans. The Penguins are their opponent. Hey, who hasn't generated more bandwagon fans than the Penguins? Maybe the Blackhawks? Because I see Blackhawks hats and jerseys around, and I am blown away that they exist like this. Do you know why? Because like 5 years ago, you would never have seen it. People didn't know who the Blackhawks were. Were the Blackhawks really a team that people cared about? Absolutely not. Right? Sidney Crosby has sort of had this a sort of a LeBron James effect type on the league where, yeah, he's so good and he's so smooth as a hockey player and so polished. Yeah, he draws a lot of fans to him. Like, we act like the Penguins bandwagon isn't a massive bandwagon. They've been the bandwagon team for like the last decade. Where's everybody else been? Like, you could talk about the Predators bandwagon, but let's not act like this is a bigger bandwagon than what the Penguins have going on. Get out of here. Get out of here with that noise. So, I have a couple of stories. I don't know which one to choose first. So let me start with the football one. Odell Beckham Jr. skipping his skipping OTAs, right? They're the voluntary workouts. You're not actually required to go to them, but when you don't go to them, people make a giant stink that you don't go. They question your work ethic and your passion and all of that stuff, even though, I don't know, if I had a job and then you told me there was stuff that I could do at that job that was just optional, like I didn't have to do it, I might do some of it. I don't know, I'm doing all of it, though. You know what I'm saying? I'm not lazy, but like, if you want me to do it, make it mandatory, and then I'll do it. Right? In my opinion, laziness would be if you made something mandatory and then I didn't do what was mandatory, yeah, then I'm just being lazy. If something is optional and I choose not to do this optional thing, then, I mean, that's not laziness. That's just being effective with my time. No, Odell Beckham Jr. is not coming out to these workouts, and people are speculating about him wanting more money and a contract negotiation. Adam Schefter was the one to first speculate. And because Adam Schefter is so good at being an NFL insider, if Adam Schefter speculates on something, then it's highly likely that it's actually true. He doesn't miss very often. So with that being said, maybe that is true. But like, what if Odell Beckham Jr. just didn't want to come to OTAs? Because like, veterans never do. Right? Like, there's a point where Brett Favre just stopped showing up to OTAs. And it was about 14 years of Brett Favre's illustrious 20-year career that he didn't go to OTAs. Like, if you're a veteran, you don't have to. Like, what are you going to cover in OTAs that you won't cover when you report to training camp later in the year? And it's not like Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't know how to play. What, is he going to forget how to one-hand catch? Like, what kind of sense does that actually make? Like, I hate it when people get mad over players not showing up to these OTAs. People who should show up to OTAs, in my opinion, if you are a rookie or a young player and you have a lot to prove, you need to go to these OTAs. Like, don't get mad later when you find yourself not on a roster. And if you are a player that the team has lots of doubts about, you need to go to these OTAs. Right? Like Matt Jones with the Redskins is a good example. Matt Jones has not been showing up to OTAs. The difference here is that the Redskins have 4 other running backs that they could run with, and they actually like them better than him. So they're saying, hey, you need to show up to camp, you need to show up in camp in shape, and you need to show up now, or you're going to be off of this football team later. And Matt Jones is like, cool, I'm not coming. Okay, fine. Then we'll just use one of the 4 other running backs that we have. Like, the Redskins have all the leverage in that situation. If you're Matt Jones and you want to be on that particular football team, you better get you behind the camp. Right? And it doesn't appear that he actually wants to be on that football team, so he ain't coming to camp, but that's the point, right? Like, if you have something to prove or if the team is looking to get rid of you, you need to be there if you actually want to be on that team. The Odell Beckham knows that they're not going to get rid of him. He doesn't have anything else to prove. What is he going to camp for? What is he going to voluntary camp for? It's a voluntary OTA. To prove what? Right? Which is why I find this weird that if this whole thing is over the contract, it's like, what? Odell Beckham Jr. is going to do what? Get a good contract, get a new contract, a nice contract, and then he'll start showing up to OTAs every year? I don't think so. I honestly don't think so. But if this is over the contract, right? Now, people are saying that the Giants you're patting the Giants on the back for standing their ground against Odell Beckham in his contract negotiation. Even though, if you're the Giants, don't you have to acknowledge that Odell Beckham Jr. is your offense? He's your offense. And not like some of your offense. Odell Beckham Jr. is your whole offense. You were able to run the ball because you have Odell Beckham Jr. You were able to throw the ball to other receivers who can't necessarily get great separation. Victor Cruz. Because you have Odell Beckham. And, of course, if a team is able to contain Odell Beckham Jr. for an entire football game and let this man escape from you with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, he can still destroy that team. Odell Beckham Jr. just needs to touch the ball once. Okay? He's a supremely gifted receiver, arguably one of the best in the league, right? Like, you could make a strong case that Odell Beckham Jr. is the best receiver in the league. I won't make that case because I still think it's Julio Jones, but you could make that argument and you would be very valid in doing so. I do not understand why the Giants are playing hardball here, right? And it's because it's not the same thing as, like, again, I will reference the Redskins because it's a situation that I'm very familiar with and it makes me very sad. But Kirk Cousins, it's not the same situation because the Redskins are seeing Kirk Cousins play well and they're not sure that A, it's for real, and B, that he can get much better than that. Like, we might have just seen the best of Kirk Cousins, and he's not necessarily a guy that's going to go out there and win you a football game. Right? So that's why they're waffling on that. I feel like since Odell Beckham Jr. set foot on green in the NFL, his impact on the league has been obvious. It's been more than obvious. The catch radius is insane. The speed is alarming. The fact that he requires the attention of a double team from most defenses is literally how the Giants offense works these days. How are you missing this? If you're New York, no, you don't get a pat on the back for playing hardball with your best player, with what is obviously your best player. The Giants offense last year was garbage outside of Odell Beckham. What are you talking about? I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, are we evaluating the same player? Because, like, you can play hardball all you want to. Wait till that Odell Beckham contract comes up, right? Because Odell Beckham right now is being massively underpaid because of where he got drafted. He didn't get drafted up top. He didn't get drafted top 10 pick. So it's because of the rookie pay scale. Odell Beckham Jr. is being paid like a scrub, really, like $1.5 million a year or something like that, which is, is nice money generally. But for what he is worth to that team and for what any other team would pay for him on the open market, yeah, you better treat that guy better. And maybe Odell Beckham Jr. loves being in New York and likes all the bright lights. But I would not assume that when the free agency comes up, Odell Beckham Jr. is going to stick around, right? And then you might have to hit him with that franchise tag. But I'm telling you what, that number is going to keep going up. Because then what the Giants have done here is effectively recreated the entire Kirk Cousins situation again, only this time with a player that they knew was a good player. With a player that they knew was a good player. Doesn't make any sense what they're doing. It honestly doesn't. It seems counterproductive and petty the way that I assume that the Giants always operate. So, Clutch with Keon Rose and AM 1240 and 92.7 FM. I'm going to talk about the Big 12 a little bit because it does have some ramifications for the SEC. And here's the thing with the Big 12, right? The Big 12 is a conference that's in decline. It's in decay. If you can get some successful football out of the Big 12, then maybe the conference continues to grow and rebuild back to its former glory. But there's no really such signs of that being the case, though TCU is going to be around for a little bit. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury over at Texas Tech. Maybe he gets something going on as well, possibly. But it's a tough time already. And if Baylor can turn around its stuff, and Texas hopes to, with Tom Herman, return to what Texas has always been known for, which is just winning lots of stuff. But now you've got Bob Stoops stepping down, and that means that he's going to be replaced by Lincoln Riley. And so the fate of the Big 12, which is a conversation that we have every year, but the fate of the Big 12 kind of rests on the shoulders of Tom Herman and Lincoln Riley, which is insane, right? Just a little bit insane. But it rests on the shoulders of Tom Herman and Lincoln Riley, two guys that we don't know how they're going to coach at this level. Like, we feel like Tom Herman's going to be good, but we don't know that for sure. And with Lincoln Riley, are we sure that Lincoln Riley can coach? Because I'm not going to lie to you. I got the update about Bob Stoops stepping down on my way here. And I don't know very much about Lincoln Riley, like nothing at all. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know Lincoln Riley's whole life story. I do not. Can Lincoln Riley actually coach? Right? Oklahoma seems to think so, but if he cannot, that does not necessarily help the Big 12 very much. And the reason why that this affects the SEC, of course, is that the SEC could probably continue to grow some more. As we've always sort of had this idea that we're going to end up with super conferences that would require one conference at least to die. If the Big 12 is the conference that dies, and all these schools sort of get divided up into different conferences, the SEC might have the chance to absorb a few, right? And if you're the SEC with the opportunity to absorb a few, who you take? Who do you take? Right? Like that's kind of crazy. The idea that the SEC, which has got 14 football teams in it, could grow even more. But the SEC could grow. The Pac-12 could probably grow. It's kind of a crazy idea, but at the same time, how crazy is it? Like, if you're at the SEC, the prospect of absorbing Baylor, how crazy is that to you? Because I don't think it's all that crazy. And then, of course, if say you absorb a couple of these Big 12 teams, if for some reason that Tom Herman and Lincoln Riley aren't able to be successful, say you absorb a couple of these SEC or these Big 12 teams into the SEC. First off, who are you taking? And secondly, can you not now use this as a shallow excuse to realign the SEC in such a way that the actual geographical layout makes sense? Then, please, because I would very much like that. That would make me very happy to see that happen. That would make me incredibly happy to see that happen. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240, 92.7 FM. I've read a number of articles today on the Cavs in the NBA Finals. Can the Cavs dictate the pace of the NBA Finals? Can they dictate the pace of Game 3? And I don't know what people mean by that, right? Great article written earlier today by Kyle Boone of CBSSports.com. I don't know what he means by that. Can the Cavs dictate the pace at home? Why? The Cavs are playing at exactly the pace that they want to play at. I'm not saying that's the pace that they should play at. I think that the Cavs should try and dictate the pace and slow the game down. Make it a little bit more grindy on these Warriors. Granted, when the wheels come off the cart of a slow game, right? Like when you try and play it slow and suddenly it breaks open, I'm sorry, but it's never coming. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. But that being said, you got to try, because what you've been doing has not been working. And the Cavs, I think, are capable and have always been capable of dictating the pace of this series. The problem is that the Cavs want to play this series at the same pace that the Warriors want to. Now, the question is, should they dictate the pace in Game 3? Absolutely. The question of do they even want to is probably a better question. And no, they don't. And as long as they've decided that running is the thing that they want to do, well, guess what? They're going to get outrun. They're not designed to run. It's insane. This team has been designed to beat the Warriors, but it was designed to beat the Warriors as previously constructed. It's not designed to beat these Kevin Durant Warriors, right? Because the Warriors last year were missing one component from their team. They were missing a slasher. They were missing somebody who could just go get a bucket when they needed a bucket. And as much as I like Steph Curry, when you start to play physical with Steph can still be effective. Steph can still be good, but Steph can't just go get a bucket when Steph wants to go get a bucket, right? Because Steph's go get a bucket is, let me just shoot this three, right? And you know, when there's pressure in the game, when the game's on the line, that's the shot that you need to be very accurate with, or you are going to kill your team. Kevin Durant is this let me go get a bucket guy. Kevin can shoot a three if you let him have one. And if you get too close to Kevin, despite the fact that he is 6'11", Kevin Durant is going straight to the cup and he's throwing you down at the basket whenever he wants, right? Like this sort of feeling. People treat Kevin like he's not a superstar anymore. And that's insane, right? How is it that you're not able to divorce your opinions of Kevin Durant from what Kevin Durant is? Like, oh yeah, he went to go join another team, so he must be a scrub now. He's still great. He's still a superstar. And by the way, had a whole lot of practice with the Thunder, right? Because you remember the years when they were with Scott Brooks and there was just no real offense being run over there in Oklahoma City. It was either Westbrook or Durant dribble until the shot clock's almost done. And then, you know, someone fires up a shot. It was bad offense. It was bad offense. But Kevin Durant learned valuable lessons in that entire time with the bad offense, which is that, like, yeah, if I want to be successful, I'm going to have to go get these buckets. And he's taken that ability with him to Golden State. And the Cavs are not constructed to stop the Warriors and a guy that can just go get a bucket. Right? Because LeBron is that guy on any team that he's on. So, like, he'll always be fine. That's the reason why he's a one-man dynasty, is LeBron is the go-get-a-bucket guy on any team that he's on. Durant is that guy for the Warriors now. They did not have that last year. They have it now. And they're more dangerous because of it, which is the number one reason why you simply cannot try to outrun them. That and the Cavs specifically don't have the personnel in a way that, like, even if like say somehow Boston would have beaten Cleveland, like it's a pipe dream, it would never have happened. But say somehow Boston did. Boston would be more successful trying to outrun the Warriors than Cleveland, if only because they are younger. Right? Like the size and the age and the athleticism and the fact that at least Boston's got a couple of guys who are kind of two-way players. Not really good two-way players, but I mean, good enough. And then you get that Brad Stevens edge. There are teams that were in the Eastern Conference that had they made it to the finals, which is impossible, but had they made it to the finals, there are teams in the Eastern Conference who would do a better job of running with the Warriors than Cleveland has, because they are designed for that. Cleveland is not designed for that. Cleveland's not designed to outrun anybody. Like, they can play with a fair amount of pace, But this is a different level of running. And I think you need some youth. And LeBron's not young. And neither is their bench. Right? Like Richard Jefferson was trying to retire last year. He almost walked away. And then they convinced him to come back. Well, that's not a great sign when it comes to the age of your team. Like one of your key bench players is a guy that tried to leave. I don't know how much that helps you there. So we'll see how that all goes. Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight. Clutch with Keon Rose on AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Cops say Shane Keller and Brittany Renee Ware have both been arrested after the police say they had methamphetamine inside their car, along with needles, pipes, and a handgun. And Miss Ware's autistic son was said to be in the backseat of the car. Cops say they stopped their car because it had a stolen license plate on the back of it. 11 overdoses have been reported in Georgia, and 2 deaths so far. Pills labeled as Percocet may not actually be Percocet sold on the street. It may be something much more powerful. The police are still trying to find out what. The Chattanooga City Council is trying to figure out if some buildings should be no-go zones for guns. A Tennessee State House bill has requirements for gun-free zones, which would not be met by the current circumstances for city council meetings. And the first hearing for an ordinance which would suss out where you can use Airbnb begins today. Maps will be created which would zone out where short-term vacation rental services would be allowed and where they won't be. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Comfortable overnight, lows into the upper 50s. For Thursday, more clouds will push back in from the east. Could see a spotty shower or two. Not bad, though. Highs into the upper 70s. With more sunshine, pleasant weather returning Friday. Highs lower 80s. It's time for Riverbend, starting this Friday, featuring discounted admission now at Area Circle K locations, savings on tokens at Food City, with more info at their website, riverbendfestival.com. And I'm Sworn Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Hi, this is Eric Felty.
The Tennessee Valley's news, talk, and sports leader. Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM's news now.
Cops say Shane Keller and Brittany Renee Ware have both been arrested after the police say they had methamphetamine inside their car, along with needles, pipes, and a handgun. And Miss Ware's autistic son was said to be in the backseat of the car. Cops say they stopped their car because it had a stolen license plate on the back of it. 11 overdoses have been reported in Georgia, and 2 deaths so far. Pills labeled as Percocet may not actually be Percocet sold on the street. It may be something much more powerful. The police are still trying to find out what. The Chattanooga City Council is trying to figure out if some buildings should be no-go zones for guns. A Tennessee State House bill has requirements for gun-free zones, which would not be met by the current circumstances for city council meetings. And the first hearing for an ordinance which would suss out where you can use Airbnb begins today. Maps will be created which would zone out where short-term vacation rental services would be allowed and where they won't be. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News, now.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair skies to continue through your nighttime. Comfortable overnight, lows into the upper 50s. For Thursday, more clouds will push back in from the east. Could see a spotty shower or two. Not bad, though. Highs into the upper 70s. With more sunshine, pleasant weather returning Friday. Highs lower 80s. It's time for Riverbend, starting this Friday, featuring discounted admission now at Area Circle K locations, savings on tokens at Food City, with more info at their website, riverbendfestival.com. And I'm Sworn Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM.
He stole out so much cash, such a huge mountain of cash, that he's become a national star. Rick Davis. You know the story. Cash, 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 and more cash. People can't believe it. They want to see it. And now Rick Davis has a new TV show. National TV, USA and Canada. He's got the gold and silver, diamonds and rings. You get dizzy just thinking about it. Rick's selling. Rick's buying. Cash, 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 and more cash. And now a mountain of cash catching the Hollywood spotlight. You know where it is. Brainerd Road. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Cash, 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 and national TV cash. That's really big. Everyone wants to see it. Money flying out the door. Rick Davis is America's jeweler. It's better than Hollywood. It's right here. Cash, 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 and more cash. Rick Davis, Gold and Diamonds. Brainerd Road.
You love me. You really love me.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Taxes, accounting, business advice. I've got a neat brochure, 12 ways to improve your business profits. Come on by for a free consultation and we'll give you a copy. EJ Pelton Company, 332-3339.
If I'm the city's most intelligent man, it's because I take 2 shots of Mind Enhancement Complex every day. Nature's Finest keeps me stocked with my mainstay, Formula 4. That's where I start. Formula 4. Industrial farming, soil depletion, mineral empty foods. I just say no. Ask about supplements, health, stamina, circulation, heart, prostate under control. Get the Nooga Radio David Tulis freebie. Save $2 on every 5, 20% off. Nooga Radio, Lee Highway, Nature's Finest.
I have the best steak selection in town. The name of the business is Don's Meat Shop, and I'm Donnie Raines. Just ask for Donnie. I make over 20 different types of sausages. Most of them are great for grilling. We have the best selection, best quality. We have the hard-to-find items. Don's Meat Shop.
When my brother and I opened the first Jets Pizza, we believed if we made the best pizza, customers would find us. So we made fresh dough each day, used fresh toppings, and premium mozzarella cheese. 300-plus stores later, we still do.
Try Jet's famous 8-corner pizza with premium mozzarella cheese and 1 topping, now just $11.99 for a limited time only. Jet's Pizza, the best pizza in town. 3600 Hickson Pike.
Life is short. Eat better pizza.
Let's get Jets.
Need a tiller to get things going for the spring? Spiff up your porch, maybe your deck? Come on by and get a pressure washer at Action Rental. Family in town, need some tables and chairs for an event? Come on by and see us. Action Rental. This is Dan at Action Rental on Lee Highway. Come by and see me. Action Rentals.
Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, AM 1240, 92.7 FM, and 95.3 HD4. News, talk, sports. Nooga Radio.
The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
You might think the best ways to stop terrorism is maybe extreme vetting, not allowing unvetted refugees into your home, maybe not trying to do so many regime changes in Middle Eastern countries. Well, you're all wrong. In fact, Hillary Clinton says a way to stop terrorism is to understand other cultures and their food. Yes, really. She also defended London Mayor Sadiq Khan, the man who once represented 9/11 al-Qaeda member Zacharias Moussaoui, called moderate Muslims Uncle Toms, and said terrorism was part and parcel to living in a major city. And she added, Khan has shown steady, determined leadership. Hillary said the best way to combating terror is to reach out to the world in order to understand people living in foreign countries, getting to know one another, learning about the experiences, the lives, the cultures, the religions, the food. So does this mean we got to be like into stoning women, cutting off their genitals, and throwing gays off buildings? This is not a time to lash out, to incite fear, to use tragedy and terror for political gain, said Clinton. A comment obviously aimed at Donald Trump and anyone else who has correctly identified political correctness and tolerance of Islam as creating a fertile ground for terrorist attacks in the Western world. Rob Dew reporting for InfoWars Nightly News and InfoWars.com.
It's not just our water we need to filter. It's not just our food that needs to be clean. It's the air we're breathing, especially for our children. The artificial part.